Max Verstappen and Red Bull arrive in Singapore with fresh confidence after strong results in Monza and Baku. The Marina Bay track usually rewards high downforce, but Red Bull's recent gains in slow corners give them a reason to believe this weekend can be another big one. Add in Singapore's changeable weather and the growing rivalry inside McLaren, and Verstappen may have a real shot at turning his current streak into 3 wins in a row. If that happens, expect some worried looks in the McLaren garage. A major part of Red Bull's turnaround comes from the leadership shake-up. Since Laurent Mekies took charge, the team has shifted how it works, relying more on driver feel and less on raw simulator output. That change has suited Verstappen. Earlier this year in Budapest, he admitted he didn't see a win coming on pure pace. After Mekies stepped in, Verstappen bagged 2 victories in 3 races. That's a big swing in momentum, and it shows a management approach that fits the driver. Despite the recent form, Singapore is still a personal mountain for Max. He has never won here and has led only a handful of laps at this circuit in his whole career. Even during Red Bull's near-clean sweep in 2023, when they won 22 out of 23 races and 19 of them were Verstappen's, Singapore broke their streak. That frustration has turned into fuel. Now the stakes are higher. Verstappen has started clawing back points in the drivers' standings, and the gap to Oscar Piastri is down to 69. McLaren now feels a pressure they didn't have a few rounds ago because Max's form suggests he isn't easing off. Verstappen himself sounds cautiously optimistic for Singapore. He says outcomes here depend on how the car behaves. If the car is unstable, the track becomes a handful. If the car is nicely balanced, then it's more of a physical challenge than a control battle. It's always hot and the drivers sweat a lot, so preparation matters. In short, there are variables, but he is ready for whatever comes. The real question is how much Red Bull's upgrades have lifted the RB21 at tracks like Singapore. In Zandvoort and in Hungary, circuits with similar high downforce demands, the team struggled badly. The car's behaviour was inconsistent, and Verstappen grew clearly annoyed with the lack of fixes. However, Marina Bay has something those other tracks don't: endless slow-speed 90-degree corners, like the ones in Baku where Red Bull looked excellent. That difference could be crucial. Red Bull also introduced a new floor and front wing, and those upgrades seem to be working across different layouts. Monza and Baku were both low downforce weekends, but they tested very different things. Monza emphasised high-speed turns and stability, while Baku punished you if you weren't strong in hard braking zones and hairpins. Singapore offers more of the Baku style, which plays into Red Bull's recent strengths. Mekies agrees the team has unlocked performance since Budapest. He doesn't expect a repeat of that nightmare. Whether it's enough for a win is still unclear, but he believes this weekend should be far better than Hungary. Singapore demands maximum downforce and is much hotter than many other races. Red Bull has been sensitive to high temperatures, though they are not alone. Almost everyone suffers when the heat soars. The deciding fight will likely begin on Saturday. Qualifying here is huge because overtaking on Sunday is difficult. Get Saturday right and half your job is done. Strategy will be more complex than usual. Singapore punishes tyres through thermal degradation, so pit timing and pace management matter a lot. The circuit is narrow, the walls are close, and unusual crashes can bring out a red flag at any point. A team willing to risk staying out longer might benefit if the race gets stopped and reset, something Verstappen used cleverly in Brazil last season. This kind of gamble can turn an average afternoon into a winning one. McLaren know all this, and they know the pressure Verstappen can apply. There's a key difference between him and their driver pairing: experience under fire. Max has fought through an entire season with enormous tension, like in 2021 when he went head-to-head with a 7-time world champion and held firm until the final round. That taught him how to stay calm when everything is on the line. By contrast, Baku was rough for McLaren. Piastri missed out in qualifying and Norris was second to last over 1 lap. That's not the kind of execution you want when the title fight tightens. Norris, in particular, still has to prove he can convert pressure into perfect laps every time. In a championship run-in, that matters more than raw speed. Zak Brown's view is to stay the course but keep a close eye on Max. McLaren's constructors' title outlook is strong, and they nearly wrapped it up in Baku, but that chance slipped. Brown hopes they finish the job in Singapore. He wants both his drivers fighting for the crown on equal terms, with equal equipment and with minimal team interference. Ideally, McLaren won't have to step in, let the best man win. But real life brings complications. Mechanical problems like the one Norris had can happen at any time. The goal for Brown is simple: set Lando and Oscar up so both are still in the fight when they reach Abu Dhabi. What needs to happen for a proper dramatic finish to this season? Verstappen must outscore Piastri by about 10 points per weekend and Norris by around 6. That's a tall ask but not impossible, especially with 3 sprint weekends remaining. Sprints can shake up the usual order, and if McLaren stumble on a Saturday, Max can close the gap faster. Still, it's unrealistic to expect Piastri to suffer another complete disaster like Baku every time. He has been solid enough all year that repeat collapses seem unlikely. Another twist is the duel inside McLaren. With Verstappen back in the picture as a constant threat for wins, Norris and Piastri may battle each other even harder. That can be great to watch, but dangerous for points. Wheel-to-wheel fights between teammates can lead to contact, lost time, or worse. If that happens while Max keeps his races clean, the standings can swing quickly. On the other hand, if McLaren manage their weekends well and keep both drivers on track and in the top positions, Verstappen will have to keep delivering near-perfect performances to keep slicing into the lead. Singapore itself adds more layers. Humidity drains drivers, track evolution is extreme, and the line between success and failure is razor thin. The walls are unforgiving. A single lockup can ruin a lap in qualifying, and a slow pit stop can leave you stuck in traffic all race. Safety cars are common, and the trend toward virtual or full course neutralizations, as well as the chance of a red flag on a narrow street circuit, means teams have to be ready to change plans instantly. Good communication and quick calls on the pit wall can win this Grand Prix as much as raw pace. So where does that leave us going into the weekend? Red Bull's upgrade path appears to have given Verstappen a car that makes sense in slow speed areas, and the team's new method, more driver-led, less spreadsheet-driven, has put the triple champion in a better headspace. Max is energized by the chase, and he knows Singapore is a missing trophy he wants to claim. McLaren, meanwhile, still holds the upper hand in the points and likely has one of the best packages for a track that needs downforce and tyre care. But that gap is under threat if mistakes creep in or if Saturday becomes messy again. The next few races will tell us if this is the start of a true comeback or a brief surge. If Verstappen keeps trimming double-digit points off Piastri and mid-single digits off Norris each weekend, the final rounds will become a knife fight. If McLaren stabilise their Saturdays and cut the errors, they can blunt Red Bull's charge and control their own destiny. Do you think Red Bull and Verstappen can stretch this momentum into a 5th straight title together? And are McLaren feeling the heat now that Max has found his groove again? Singapore might not settle the battle, but it will show us who handles the pressure when the streets tighten and the heat turns up. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts on this topic, just leave a comment below and let's discuss. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to this channel and activating the bell such that you won't miss any new videos. See you soon in the next video.